TF first pick, something FPX would normally do, and EDG going to take that one out of the playbook.
And it's about, again, Scout having control of this mid lane, should be able to shove and roam. The thing is, though, I wasn't incredibly impressed with Scout's Twisted Face the last time we saw it. He ended up playing it against LGD, went too far forward and gave a lot of these team fights over to LGD. So I want to see Scout a little bit more cautious about his ult usage of this test.
And I will say, to set up for maybe the bottom lane, because Hope's second most played champion is the Kalista. 59% of the time, it's banned against EDG. So now that that's open, do we see an aggressive bottom lane?
The thing is, though, for Hope, although it is banned 59% of the time, he actually doesn't have a particularly good win rate on it. He's only sitting with 2 wins, I think it was, on that champion. I could be wrong.
Well, that's interesting.
Yeah, so 33% essentially win rate for him. And that's why I'm surprised to see that teams are still going towards that, to be such a heavy ban towards. We'll see, though, what he wants to go for. He has been relying on this Varus pick since he's returned. Again. So it will be the on-hit Varus. This is the way Scout likes to play it. It isn't going to be the lethality. It is the on-hit where they just go utility for utility and go harken back to, I think it was Season 3, Season 4, when it was all about the Varus Ashe bot.
Let's go back to last split. Hope's biggest highlight play was on that on-hit Varus. You know, against RNG, it was a fantastic play that really showed the skill of Hope in the LPL. But if you're talking about comfort, go no further than Doinb's Rumble, which sits in, you know, I believe should have been his world skin.
Yeah, he loves this champion. I was wondering what we would see if he'd go towards the Rumble or if he'd go towards the Silas. We have seen him go towards that a little bit. Obviously, you take the Destiny, you're able to match. This to me says, though, look, he just wants to try and shove in, be an absolute nuisance for this Twisted Fate, and not give the opportunity for Scout to have these roaming plays. But obviously, with Scout taking the teleport, he will have the advantage here where he can actually try to use that teleport to gain advantage that he can get out of lane with the Destiny.
Okay. Well, we're talking about, you know, bans that are coming up here because it's going pretty fast. Renekton taken away from XiaoXiang. Maybe Gimgoon not heading towards the GP. Otherwise, he wouldn't really care about the Renekton. Dagda, what's up? What's next?
Well, I imagine you're still going to be looking towards the jungle, yeah. Tian getting rid of the Olaf, so with Jiejie going towards this Lee Sin, they're basically having a call out to Tian like, look, go for the Rek'Sai. You know you want it, you know you want to go for this early game jungle, but the thing is, you then lock yourself in on FPX to a super early game aggressive composition where you don't really have much past the, let's say the level 8, 9 is where you kind of need to make your plays work. Otherwise, when you've got all the damage and the map pressure that EDG have available to them, but the Rek'Sai just won't really cut it past that point.
Sett jungle locked in, most likely. I'm not sure about Gimgoon, whether he plays this. When we saw Gimgoon, it was GP and Renekton.
He did play it last split a lot still. I mean, he was one of the few that were still going towards the Blade of the Rune King.
Hang on.
Sett, but okay.
Camille into whatever you want. Now, Gimgoon is something like a Wukong player, right? Tian can play this jungle.
Well, like the Wukong really struggles against this Camille. You can actually have a really good laning phase. So basically, if Gimgoon is taking this, Gimgoon's like, look, I'm going to play weak side. I'm going to struggle in this matchup, but I'm going to all in on what is our combo here as FPX. This is Gimgoon taking the L so that then he can set up that team play with this. Chant Crystal Arrow into the Wukong knockup. Doinb getting a bunch of damage off and even setting up as well for Tian on this set. So overall, FPX need to get the ball rolling ASAP.
Yeah.
Because if you look over towards the Scout on this Twisted Fate, you've got Camille, who's going to be a ticking time bomb as well. Side lanes is the name of the game for EDG, and you cannot control them as FPX, especially with, well, one, the champions that you have, and two, only having one teleport.
And we're kind of set up with Bruiser front lines, right? Like Nautilus' support, late game, still going to be a great front line, but nothing like a Malphite, a Maokai as example. So we've got some squishier style of compositions, but you talk about getting the ball rolling for FPX. I look to EDG, I see the on-hit Varus, I see the TF ability to set up the side lanes, and a Camille to speak of a side lane that won't be matched as the late game goes. So this is fun, because for EDG, when I think about Camille top, I think about Aldi, but XiaoXiang coming in, he's the player that EDG want to run with to try and make the run towards playoffs in summer.
It is interesting to look at as well, because honestly, with EDG's composition, they are very much tending towards that 28-minute plus mark, because you want XiaoXiang to come online, you want Scout to be in a good shape as well, but crucially, if FPX get off to a good start, and they're the ones that are dictating the tempo of this game, they can continuously force EDG into fights with Crisp on this board.
How will FPX fare? 6-6 here for the world champions. 4-7 for EDG, one of their lowest scores of all time towards the end of a split. If EDG lose this series here, they will be 4-8 and essentially near impossible to make playoffs for the first time in the organization's history. This is history being made, and we get to look at our full screen again. There's your matchup on your screen. It's Doinb versus Scout, but not in the way you expect. We talk about FPX wanting to roam, how the Rumble will affect one of these side lanes, Dagda. Of course, looking maybe towards bot with the lockdown. Scout's ability to match with the Destiny.
There is also the ability for FPX to go towards EO Faithful. That quick level 3 dive in the bot lane. Doinb can shove in very aggressively with the flamethrower. Scout on this Twisted Fate has gone for the minion dematerializer, so he's waiting for a little bit of time before he can actually clear those waves as effectively. So there is an option here for Tian to start topside, which is what we're seeing. Doinb to shove in that wave super aggressively, and then FPX look for this aggressive dive in the bottom lane, especially with Hope on this Varus. Has gone for the heal, hasn't got the cleanse, so you can go for an aggressive dive here.
It's kind of interesting because versing Ashe, we always see the AD carry taking cleanse, so that's confidence from Hope, thinking more about the lane and about the aggression.
Well, the thing is, Hope is doomed either way. I'm going to be honest with you
well
here.
said.
If FPX have got control of this game, Hope is just going to be the big target for Crisp. So even if Lwx is enchanted Crystal Arrow lands, you're still going to have Crisp looking for him with the Tempered Fate, and you can't cleanse away from that one. So if FPX are in control, they are going to be looking to start fights over and over onto the 3-man unit of Jiejie, Hope, and Meiko. And unfortunately for Hope, that's not going to be a good game.
Well, Chris is going to get engaged on. We see this from Nautilus all the time at level 1, but Hope just took a horrible trade. Actually, Meiko gets hit as well. And the problem is, Ashe and Barda have a lot of damage at this level.
A lot. And as well, a lot of pushing power as well, because you've got that double range. They can shove this wave super effectively. Yeah. And it means that Hope and Meiko now are in this awkward position where, yes, they hit level 2 first, but Jiejie has gone from this, or has fully cleared this top side, now only making his way down towards bot side, whereas Tian has already double buffed and Gromp hit level 3 and has the potential to move into this bottom side.
And Jiejie on League Sin as well. You have high expectations because when he came into the league last year as a rookie, he performed on this pick. This was his pick, and this year has been ever so more. Spotted out in the ward is Tian, who comes into the tri-brush, actually invading himself. Double buffs are required. He just walks by, he's like, yeah, whatever. Maybe he's there, maybe he's not. Good block from Gimgoon topside meanwhile, but magic damage shield. Tian coming mid. We got action everywhere because Scout might have to flash away and does from potential face breaker.
Yeah, that was not the call from Scout. You literally saw Tian walking straight through your jungle to go for it. So I was surprised to see Scout walk up that aggressively. Even if he'd managed to move up towards the top half of the lane, maybe could have been able to do something. But yeah, Scout not in a position there to try and do very much.
I just wanted to have a quick chat, you know, as we do.
Okay.
Remember when it was IG RNG, I was casting with Lyric, and our segment was all about teams that step up to the plate when matched with, like, you know, enormous foes. Kind of like IG do. Yeah. The clutch potential, also the quality of teams rises because they're facing, like, an old opponent. EDG and FPX don't have much history, but it's always been that match where you're like, well, EDG rise to their opponents like they did to RNG over the rough history that the two had with each other over the years. And FPX do the same with teams like IG and RNG. So what I'm hoping for in this series is that we get that same factor when we're watching IG RNG. A lot of the clutch potential, a lot of the risk-taking that manages to net a massive lead that's decisive from either of these teams.
Well, if that is going to be the case, I think it'll definitely be from EDG's side here, where so far we've seen EDG do reasonably well at, look, Doinb holding on in his lane. Scout still has the teleport to try and get this counter push going. XiaoXiang is doing so much work in this top lane, but might be caught out.
And he's a bit low on mana here, so even though the trade's been going well, Facebreaker doesn't connect. XiaoXiang just walks away and walks back up.
And he's totally fine now. This is why I was surprised to see Gimgoon going towards the Wukong. This is such a terrible matchup for him, especially when you got the grasp of the Undying on the Camille. It's so difficult to try and trade against her. You get that AD shield, you get a bunch of CC, and you can see the results here for Gimgoon.
It tells you I know Gimgoon very well because in chat, like, I'm like, Wukong's open against the Camille. Not about the matchup bout. Well, Gimgoon, he wants to put himself in an unfavorable matchup because that's how FPX like to play. Don't give him priority in lane.
Don't even give him a decent matchup. It's like, Gimgoon, if we're going to put you in the ground, we're putting you 6 feet under.
Yeah. You start digging your way out. We'll see you towards mid-game. He's 10 CS behind. That push here from XiaoXiang. That's a deep TP in the end as well with double Dorans and a longsword versus a health rejuve bead and a Doran shield for Gimgoon. And now that TP's been burnt, we'll look at that dragon as whoever's there first, whoever gets control of Scuttle. And Gimgoon, once again, will look at him top because he will continue to get pushed in.
So you do have to be careful of FPX, sorry, if you're going towards this dragon, because you can have Scout hold the wave fairly effectively. Now, he's burned through all of his minion dematerializers, which means 2 Qs and a red card will clear that wave fully for Scout. So that Destiny now online as well means that he can do a lot of work. Scout, having backed, now realizes, hey look, this is the moment where I can actually make these plays as Twisted Fate, either towards the dragon, which has been started up by Tian, or towards the bottom. Sorry, not Sett. There we go. What?
Well,
there we
go. All right, that starts while meanwhile topside. I know the camera's going to keep panning back and forth from there. XiaoXiang doing a really good job in this lane. The harass is quick, forcing out Gimgoon's clone is mana usage that he probably doesn't want to make. As FPX doing this means Chris can get a deep ward on bottom side. Doinb can walk out of lane and
look at top side. Scout said, hey, you're doing dragon, we're making plays tough.
It's Destiny under turret, the Cyclone used. Double Cyclone will get the knockup, but it's too late. XiaoXiang with first blood and doesn't die. We look towards bottom lane, and I don't think this trade from FPX is going to happen. Nicely done from the solo laners, while Tian may be going to prove me wrong.
Scout has TP though. He has just backed, needs to TP to this bottom lane. You know that this time is meant to happen.
Oh, this is FPX from the playbook we've seen. The equalizer against the turret. Hope's just dead. Meiko against the wall will survive for now. Gold card onto Lwx, who wants to take the portal. Glitches in the matrix happening there. But FPX still get that bottom side kill.
Jiejie will be able to move up towards his top side, steal away a bunch of the camps, but Tian can answer anyway on this opposite side. So it's not like it's going to be too much of a difference as both trading back and forth. But honestly, I'd rather have the gold on my Camille than I do on my Sett.
I mean, we already highlighted how XiaoXiang's been playing this matchup, how he's been trading, and now with a kill and Sheen, it's going to be so much harder for Gimgoon, but what we saw there from FPX was very much out of the world's playbook, very much out of the 2019 scrapbook that became Holy.
And a good response when you see Scout going towards the top side. You know, okay, look, Doinb doesn't have pressure mid. He can go and make this play bot, but
okay. There's no ult available, but Gimgoon's just trying to wily his way out however he can.
Again, though, Destiny used by Scout. Now he wants to get a little bit more active. Shoved in that bot, or that mid wave again. Starting to get bot side river control. So whenever you see a Twisted Fate getting this much control over either side of the river just says, hey, look, we know that this is where Scout wants to try and go down towards the bottom lane. But we'll have to see if he's going to be able to do so. More than likely waiting till Hope has a level 6 mark and then can try and, in conjunction with the Chains of Corruption, set up a play.
Very true, a lot of CC potential there. Pings are getting spammed down towards the bottom side. It's tracking from EDG while Scout's Destiny's not up, but he has the movement speed thanks to the Scuttle. Jiejie pressuring too. Gimgoon pays the respect though, and Scout has to get back because this wave is pushing pretty fast. Has to make sure he can catch it, not lose out on too much against Doinb's Rumble. And there goes Doinb. Guess where he's going? He's got Equalizer again, Dagda.
You do have level 6 hit for Crisp as well. This could be the perfect setup for FPX.
Oh my god, they're so fast, so quickly there. Hope and Meiko once again. Enchantress Arrow lands, steps on up the Equalizer, down with the turret going golden. FPX once again, as Doinb takes turret, the shock of Hope dying in the end as Gimgoon's getting dove by Jiejie and XiaoXiang. He survived long enough though. Double Cyclone, Sonic Wave, flashed away from. XiaoXiang gets knocked up, but Jiejie won't die. Another kill over to the Camille and ticking time bombs in both lanes.
ADG well orchestrated there to get that dive happen, but the thing is we're trading back and forth consistently. FPX do get the double kill in the bot lane, obviously nets them a bit of gold, but you did trade turret plates mid. You're trading turret plates in the top side as well. And as we said, EDG scale better into that late portion of the game. So as EDG, I'm happy that we're getting these objectives and, well, sorry, getting these kills and these objectives like the Rift.
The ability to play up, right, that we talked about, where EDG face a much greater opponent and they rise to that level. And not to say that EDG, when they've been playing well, aren't as great as FPX in their current form, right? Because what we saw in versus Vici in Game 3 was great. It was the EDG we expected that we saw in Spring. And seeing that here in Game 1 so far is a very good sign of this series. And I got to say, after Vici OMG, I'd like to apologize to the fans. I was very tilted. But I'm cleansed by the ale that is EDG and FPX in Game 1. And what we've seen so far is that FPX are resorting back to what we've seen so many times. Diving bot over and over again. Equalizer off cooldown. Doinb roams down.
Well, we talked about it already. Hope is going to struggle. Crisp has got the Tempered Fate, which is going to make his life a living hell. And that's not even taking into account LWX's Enchanted Crystal Arrow. And as we said, no cleanse. So even if one of those two ultimates lands, just buys it time for Doinb to get into position, Tian to get into position as well. 2 kills over towards the Sett, though, means that, look, it's not like Sett is going to be a big carry here. You'd love these kills to be going into Doinb's hands or into LWX, but I mean, look, beggars can't be choosers. FPX are just happy that these plays are succeeding.
Which is why you look across the map and hope and Meiko like, I don't want to be down bot anymore. We go to mid, and Rift Herald to be dropped top by Jiejie by the looks of it, while FPX try and make a trade through mid and bot themselves. Not dropped there yet, though.
Just waiting for the wave to get there.
Okay.
You want the 2 plates, or 1 more plate down to get to the 2. And now you're getting so much gold funneled into XiaoXiang.
Mega fed.
Plus, they've just zoned Gimgoon off of that top wave as well. So you're going to get 2 of these turrets into... Oh, actually, Hope is coming up to...
He's angry.
Yeah.
He's like,
no,
give me
look,
some gold.
No, the Rift Herald didn't charge. The Rift Herald got stuck on the creeps that came up. So it means that then it's a little bit of a slower play. Now all this gold is being shared between both Hope, Meiko, and XiaoXiang, so not quite as potent, but still, hey, look, you're going to get the second tower.
Oi, not in time. The damage actually does come down, but it might pick out XiaoXiang. The Rift Herald getting low, so the sweep across does a bit of damage. The Chains of Corruption don't connect onto Chris. The Scout's in the back line, and Doinb has to burn both summoners to get out off screen. EDG being really proactive in this early game.
And we got to see how they're going to keep going forward, because you got Doinb alone in that mid lane at the moment with a lot of EDG members collapsing, but he does make it into that bot side river safely.
So, Dagda, you said before who you'd prefer to have your gold on. Well, XiaoXiang is 40 CS up, picked up turret plating from that as well. And on the trade on FPX's side, despite being even in gold, it's across the board.
And he's got Triforce now for XiaoXiang.
Yes, he does.
That's the big pickup. Like, look at the difference in items, as Gimgoon will back now, but it's absolutely insane how fed this Camille is. And now as EDG, you are the ones that are controlling the pace of this game. Because you've already got that top lane, side lane down, which opens up both XiaoXiang and Scout to play into that lane, start pushing super far in. If you look at bottom side as well, you haven't got any of the turret plates, but you can still have multiple members play down around this side lane, especially as the Dragon is still about 3.5 minutes away.
Doinb has first item Nomicon. There's going to be a lot of talk about that, I can sense, but of course you're going up against Camille, who's going to have Ravenous Hydra at some point as well, while Chris is just walking into the river. Caught out a little bit here. He flashes away, but through the magical journey, that takes him nowhere. One more auto needed. Flash from Scout to secure the kill. And Tian almost gets caught out as well. Sonic Wave with no resonating strike. But what's resonating right now is that EDG are being more proactive or outpacing FPX.
And look at this bottom lane as well. XiaoXiang has already got control of this matchup. Gimgoon is struggling still, especially with that Triforce coming in. And Gimgoon, you're damned if you do, damned if you don't.
Yep.
You try to play into lane to try and push back this wave. You eat a bunch of these Sheen procs coming through from XiaoXiang. And then if you try to hold the wave underneath the tower, or well, you don't, XiaoXiang is going to just poke down these turret plates anyway.
And let's come back to what you were talking about, because gold now 1k in the lead for EDG. You talked about the snowball effect, the pace that needs to be taken by FPX. When for EDG, they've got the side laner, they've got the Camille, they've got the 1-3-1 through the TF as well who can link up. Plus you've got an on-hit Varus, so there's a lot working for EDG in this first game.
And it becomes really difficult for FPX to try and snowball now with the way that the game is positioned itself. Twisted Fate is in this top side of the map. He can shove in super far and then force someone on FPX to go and collect that wave. Gives yourself a numbers advantage.
That's close, hang on. Second Cyclone to come through, TPUs, but Gimgoon is about as squishy as a monkey right now. That's what he is. Dead, and XiaoXiang gets a kill. Everyone comes down to help out their sister with the scissors.
And that's what I wanted to touch on was you have so much control here as EDG. That top wave gets shoved in by Scout. He's opened up to make plays elsewhere. That was the teleport down towards that bottom side. And now you can even have XiaoXiang off this back. TP in towards top side to protect the tower. But you have a lot of members of FPX there. So EDG just trading 1-for-1. But as EDG now, you're in a fantastic spot because you've got both these side lane structures down. You can now shove in both side lanes and then collapse onto mid tower while FPX are trying to deal with all their side lanes being down.
They're being quickly done. Destiny used behind Doinb, but he used both summoners before. Kicked back with Chains of Corruption. So much lockdown. And there goes a Chinese Rumble flying through the sky as Scout, low health bar, Tempered Fate will lock down Scout. The counterplay from Tian will net back with the nice base breaker. Scout drops. There is a trading kill, and Chana Crystal Arrow up top side. They want to kill Meiko, but he's going to execute to the turret in time.
A lot invested from FPX, though, and a lot of ways for them to deal with these map plays from EDG. Gimgoon's teleport is down. Now they've got a brief window where they can try and make something happen. As Jiejie won't get caught out, but wave cleared, tower protected, and EDG will be back out on the map just in time for this dragon.
But they will lose this turret at the end of the day as well, and gold will come back to a near even point. Still about 1,000 and bits over to EDG. You talked about the dragon coming out. We need to take stock of items because we're at the 1.5 mark here for EDG's carries. The Trinity's there, but the Tiamat now also alongside XiaoXiang with almost Black Cleaver for Jiejie, almost the Lichbane for Scout. And instead of going straight to the dragon, they say, hey, we're already snowballing this game pretty hard. Let's get the Rift Herald. Let's start taking down some more struggles.
And this is where how you double down as EDG on cracking open these towers. Because we talked about side lanes, and then having a Rift Herald you can place in this mid lane as FPX are drawn across the map. The thing is, though, for FPX, they are trying to force EDG into a fight. The best way to do that is by forcing an Infernal Soul, which just adds so much more punch power to FPX, and particularly this mid-game spiking combo.
I was going to say, we're one away for FPX. Tian's going to solo this away while Doinb sits in the bottom lane, but XiaoXiang demands attention. Heading up to the inhibitor turret, this Camille destroys turrets, and Gimgoon at threat of being dove 2 levels underneath his counterpart and 60 CS behind. Hextech Ultimatum is available, and even though you got Infernal Soul coming up, as XiaoXiang, I'm like, whatever, I'll just go bot next time.
Look at the difference in items. You got a completed Triforce and that Tiamat to a Tiamat and a Phage. You were so far behind as Gimgoon that if at any point in time XiaoXiang is left on his own against Gimgoon, he can do a lot of work. And that's basically what EDG did with that trade-off, was go, right, we are going to get this Rift Herald, know we're going to get XiaoXiang ahead, and then when that 4th dragon spawns for FPX, we can play so heavily through XiaoXiang, we can outnumber FPX at that point.
Which comes back to EDG's game plan in the past when they were running Audi and Junjia, and when they had variations of that, was playing towards the top side, so it shows you the EDG coming into this series were very set on exploiting the weakness of FPX in the past, which has been Gimgoon, who tries to play 1 versus 2 in pretty much all his games, and exemplifying the fact that the top side has been their layer of success, whether it's Audi or XiaoXiang recently. Good to see that EDG have run into that in game 1, given XiaoXiang a 2.6k gold lead over Gimgoon in this game.
It's not a bad stat. That's a lot of goals, a lot of items, and that's a lot of problems for FPX just off of 1 member on EDG.
That's right.
Now, though, we need to see EDG actually starting to coordinate these split pushes because, as we talked about, FPX are going to struggle. You can see they've committed 2 members down to that bottom lane because Doinb doesn't have the TP. Tian needs to be here to help him out, and that means EDG get the numbers advantage on top side as those backs start to come through.
That could have been a very cheeky play. Rift Herald in the hands of Jiejie to set up for the inhibitor turret. Also remember that Chris does have the Tempered Fate ability to deny the charge. That is up and available. Now, we're getting to a point where pings are getting spammed. We're 3 minutes away from that next dragon. And the Baron's coming up in 50 seconds. FPX trying for this pick. Vision.
Which I'm surprised at, because you do have I don't think they think XiaoXiang's still in this top lane. I believe they think he's backed, but he will be spot on the ward now as FPX realize, oh crap, we need to get back and defend our turrets. And it does mean that Scout can safely push out this bottom wave. Because what FPX were trying to do is, what we just talked about is trying, EDG want to get their waves in order. Actually, they're looking for a play.
He's TPing. Doinb could be in a lot of trouble because Scout's behind him with Destiny straight onto this Rumble who flashes away. Tempered Fate does not connect. FPX running through. And that's a lot of resources used for Doinb's flash.
And I don't agree with the play. Like, you don't have a dragon up that you can try and make that play work for. You don't have, yeah, you can potentially get the mid turret, but you could have got that off of just straight pressure anyway. And now you don't have these teleports for the dragon in 2 minutes.
Well, Dagda, I just saw enchanting arrow from Lwx. Sonic Wave doesn't connect, but now at least breaking over mid as Tian walks on up to the Rift Tail. Dredgeline pulls him back in, 5 versus 5, with the Equalizer layering down but doing no damage. Flashing away is Meiko. The poke's still great. Gimgoon pretending to be a monkey will survive with the clone and run away, but now for EDG, what do they do off the back of this?
Scout's still trying to hover forward though, might be looking to flank in underneath the structure. No TP for Gimgoon just yet.
XiaoXiang ready to go in, still has the ulti. Scout has gold card and flash available onto Lwx who walks forward with no fear. Exhaust placed down and turret goes down. EDG still getting an advantage out of the play, although they use a lot.
So now I want to see the lane assignments from EDG. They should have XiaoXiang on this bottom side of the map with no TP available. Scout needs to be in this top lane as he does have his own TP available and will still be looking for the likes of this Destiny to be up and available for this next dragon.
Yeah.
And that's the only way that EDG can try and force a numbers advantage play at this objective. The issue though is by burning XiaoXiang's TP, Gimgoon has a TP on his own to match Scout. So the threat of these side lane structures going down and forcing FPX to deal with them isn't really an option for EDG.
Very true. We'll be watching XiaoXiang, who's heading towards bottom, the same lane near the dragon. Scout is topside, but has the teleport available himself. Gimgoon the same, but manually walking down while Doinb gets a shove here. And here we go. Infernal Assault in 30 seconds is set up nice and early for FPX to obtain river control. They've got deep vision as well, but a control ward placed by EDG to secure the back of the pit. And this is going to be interesting, Dagda. We've got 2.5 items on Lwx, who has Enchanted Crystal Arrow. 2.5 items on Scout as well, but XiaoXiang still without his second item. He's optimizing different paths, but will still do a hell of a lot of damage. Gimgoon narrowly missing that.
EDG trying to flank from multiple different directions. They can see Scout is trying to move in towards this mid lane. Now FPX have drawn them all into the pit though.
Destiny and they're grouping. Everyone's ult available into the brush. Enchanted Crystal Arrow for the turn. Scout goes golden, but XiaoXiang with the re-engage. Tempered Fade as Gimgoon gets into the back line. Scout dies, even trying to escape, as XiaoXiang with the ulti will now be turned on. A messy fight as Gimgoon draws the attention, but eventually dies. Lwx stepping forward, Doinb doing the same. It's Dragon given over to EDG. A hope who secures now the turn. XiaoXiang is the fed one who needs to die. Doinb sends the fire through, but it's only Chris left standing, and that's all she wrote with a triple to the fed Scissor Lady.
And the Camille pops off. EDG play that fight so well with XiaoXiang being able to kite back, find multiple different avenues and different times into that fight. And even though Scout does go a little bit deep, does get caught out, it still sets up the fight for EDG.
These are the fights I wanted to see in this series. This is the fight that was led up to that Infernal Soul. EDG deny that. They move over to the Baron, and they'll net themselves such a big gold lead in Game 1 against FPX. And on death's door at 4 and 7, EDG starting to ramp up and fight for that playoff spot. Remember, Dagda, they always make it. This could be the start of something beautiful here, but it is only Game 1. But screw that, let's hype it up. 7K gold lead, let's watch this in Pro View.
I'm so glad we're getting the Pro View for this, because this was so well played by XiaoXiang. Playing this assassin style, finding multiple different times to edge in and out of the fights and able to just pick off so many members here. When Meiko setting up for the third place, or the third kill even, like this is EDG off the back of this. Well, what is it now? Because we've had Audi, we've had we've had three.
Jiejie played it as well.
We've also had someone else. Yeah,
you
we've
think
had
about,
a lot
you
of
think
top
about
laners.
Ray in the past.
Yeah,
Ray
true.
was on EDG a couple of years back. Also left the roster, I believe, also retired like Jiejie did recently. But, you know, top laners, they are bred on Edward Gaming. And it's kind of fun because Karoi, we got to remember, a legacy top laner. Remember that this is where talent's developed in EDG. A roster that's pretty much always been to Worlds Bar last year. Now with a massive gold lead here against FPX in game number 1. Almost 7,000's the number at 24 minutes. With Baron on a split pushing comp. Or at least on a split pushing Camille, we'll say. There's 2.5 items strong, demanding the attention of FPX. What do EDG do with the rest?
They're going to keep these side lanes in order. I mean, you've Scout with Destiny, you've XiaoXiang with the TP, and especially when you have this teleport advantage over FPX, there's always a threat that EDG... Ooh,
hey,
nice touch from Hope. That was actually what I was most worried about for EDG, was when they're trying to set these plays up. If the wave is not in order, FPX just collapse using that Tempered Fate, but Crisp not able to connect onto Hope. Means that now EDG have the chance to keep pushing, but they do have to be careful as FPX, because a 0-3-2 is always on the cards for EDG, and that'll be way too much for Gimgoon to handle.
Just noticed that XiaoXiang got burnt out. Now, he does have the Death Dance for a bit of lifesteal back, but Doinb is 2 items strong, and he has the Morellonomicon to negate a lot of this healing. Of course, won't be able to defend this inner turret, but keep an eye out for this Rumble and what influence he can have to see if FPX can have a way back into this game. Inner turret goes down, Destiny used. Dagda, where's Scout going? Nowhere.
I don't think anywhere. I think he's just worried about a gank, wanted to make sure he could figure out exactly where FPX were, and if you could have a more aggressive play elsewhere on the map, but EDG, they're just using this opportunity, cracking open these structures. That's all outer tower is now down, and although that Baron buff is just about to fall off, EDG are going to be pretty happy with that.
Yeah. Gold lead is massive. Some would say insurmountable. We talked about how the comps roll and what's going to happen to this Camille. We're going to get to the point of being like 3-4 item Camille that's unmatchable. And Gimgoon hasn't had a very good game because Gimgoon hasn't been set up to succeed. That's the comparison on your screen, and we know his role versus the Camille's. But
it's so sad because, like, in Champ Select, we went, Gimgoon, look, I appreciate it. I understand you're doing what is best for the team, at least attempting to. But this was not the way to go about it. And 0-4 down, nearly getting Flamed Horizon as well at the moment. Like, it is not looking pretty.
I'd be curious what the comps were like. Is like, Gimgoon, this is how it's going to work. Here's the setup. You're going to play in a poor lane for the good of the colony. You know, just like old times, shouts Gimgoon. Just like old times.
I'm back.
Shouts.
I'm home.
Oh, man. It was fun watching old FPX, but this game they've been outmatched by EDG. And Tian running through, because this is still Infernal Soul. If Infernal Soul comes through, the weight of scaling changes quite a lot with these 2 items, 3 items on the carries of FPX.
But look at where Scout is. He is fully pushing in. He still has Destiny. He can crack open this mid lane turret, which is why FPX are hard committing to the Dragon.
They're going to do something. I mean, FPX are pulling away from it, skirting around. You can see that Gimgoon's heading up there himself. Scout's coming down, though, with Destiny. XiaoXiang's onto the back one. Hex that golden main and splits them apart. The Equalizer does a good job. The ult from Bard does not, though. And XiaoXiang is at full health. That flank was sick. EDG win the fight. And Doinb left to flame spit out of this situation.
As XiaoXiang is TP'd for the end. EDG looking so damn clean in this game number 1, and they will close this one out.
8-0-4. The death timers are massive. The rest of the team on their way. And XiaoXiang is that newbie top laner who's only played 2 splits. He was on and off last split. They're like, we got Audi who's better. No. XiaoXiang's 8-0-4. You're playing him in game 2 because he absolutely massacred the world champions of 2019 and sets EDG up for success here in this series.
And he said that EDG was the place where top laners were born, where this is XiaoXiang bred on EDG, came up from EDG youth, and now we're seeing him blind pick the Camille, knowing full well that Gimgoon had nothing he could do about it, and just takes over that lane, takes over the game. And when we expected EDG to play much more through this 1-3-1 style or 0-3-2 that we highlighted, XiaoXiang's engages were superb in this game.
The beauty is playing between the two, right, where he threatens topside inhibitor turret. Then we transition into a teleport. One failed, we then got another, and another, and another, and you always have to worry about his flank. That flank in the end, the Hextech automated that shoves them towards EDG. A lot burnt to get away, but it's already too late, and it's great watching League of Legends like that where, you know, we see a lot of like 1-3-1 comps, or we see a lot of split pushing comps that can go either way. When EDG can transition like that almost flawlessly, there's hope that this team will ramp up and continue playing this well.
And on a very different style. Because remember what we talked about, their last series against Vici, they played this back team fighting style. Now there's still obviously some team fights here, but definitely a very different style, which is very much focused around that top lane, rather than being focused around the likes of Scout and Hope in this bottom side. So I'm excited to see what they can bring out now in game number 2, because I was thoroughly impressed with EDG there. And even, look, Hope, we said, is going to have a tough time, at least in the early stages of the game. We talked about the push potential from Doinb to go down towards that bottom side. And every time EDG tried to set up XiaoXiang, it was all about them moving back down, or sorry, FPX moving down towards this bottom lane to try and counteract. But trading 1-for-1 or even 2-for-1 is still going to be EDG getting Camille super far ahead.
When all the gold spreads out, you know, and even people like the support and Crisp pulls that up as well. It's not as relevant as it is on the Camille. So I think for EDG, back to that game plan of hitting top worked perfectly against the likes of Gimgoon. I'm questioning now what happens in game 2, whether Gimgoon stays in or whether they want to match fire with fire. Because as we know, Khan is a more carry style of top laner. Khan's the person who demands resources from Tian. It was fun to see FPX back towards that bottom lane with a consistent dive. But yeah, it was the transition and what happened from there that fell out of favor.
And I think that's the problem that we're seeing on FPX is that, look, they're still playing this style. They're still trying to make this work. However, you can't transition that into anything. You can see the goal graph there that even when FPX were trading 1 kill on Gimgoon into 2 kills for Hope and Meiko, they still weren't able to come out on top. There was too many plays that were being put in through that Rift Herald. The Dragons, they weren't able to net enough of a lead. And this is where FPX's game plan starts to fall apart, when they can't transition plays bot lane into Rift Heralds, into advantageous lane pressure.
And then even if we get to a fight, someone like Gimgoon, you expect, okay, well, they're ramping on this Wukong pick, so he's going to get into the backline and make an impact. But the problem is there's so much CC. If EDG predict them there first, then Gimgoon does nothing, right? And XiaoXiang had the bigger impact in the later day.
And even just off of the gold lead that EDG got, when FPX tried to opt into these team fights, because you got XiaoXiang who's coming in from one direction, you're going to have Scout who's TP'd into your back line, then you've got the rest of EDG coming from the front. It becomes very difficult to try and set up for the likes of this Rumble ult to be super impactful. Where does Chris try and throw this Bard ult to be? We didn't really see one that was that impactful in these team fights. It becomes very difficult for FPX to actually have this style of team fight that they're really hoping for.
They're giving us something, though, and that's a good sign. We'll see how far this goes and what happens in Game 2 right after this break.